Here's an amazing irony. Guess what? 3 out of the 4 largest financial institutions in the country who led us to this economic disaster are now bigger than they were before the financial collapse.
The government has to have stronger supervisory and regulatory authority over these major firms. They need to be empowered with explicit authority to force major institutions to reduce their size or restrict the scope of their activities where that is necessary to reduce risks to the system. And this is a critically important tool we do not now have at present.
This version still keeps the government in the bailout business.
No more American taxpayer money should be set aside in case we have the kind of tragedy and economic failure that we saw in the last couple of years.
Apparently, the too big to fail model is too hard to kill.
I don't have to tell anybody who is watching this that this country is in the midst of a major economic recession. We have millions of people who are unemployed. We have people who have given up looking for work. We have people who are working part-time who want to work full-time. We have seen millions of people see a decline in their wages. People have lost their savings. People have lost their homes. People have lost their pensions. And in this moment, when we're in the worst economic recession since the 1930s, one of the reasons that we are here today is because of the greed and the irresponsibility of major financial institutions on Wall Street who brought us into a situation where the government had to bail them out to the tune of $700 billion. And on top of that, trillions of dollars in zero-interest loans came from the Fed. I didn't vote for that bailout. But the argument for the bailout was that these institutions were too big to fail, and if the government didn't rescue them, didn't give them life support, they would bring down the entire economy. Now, it seems to me you don't have to have a PhD in economics to understand that if an institution like that is too big to fail, in fact, it is too big to exist. And what my view is that we should learn a lesson that Teddy Roosevelt taught us over 100 years ago, in that when you have such concentration of ownership, that the time is right to start breaking up these guys, break them up, so that they're no longer in a position to bring down the entire economy. So the first reason you want to do that is you don't want a repetition of too big to fail. And here's an amazing irony. Guess what? 3 out of the 4 largest financial institutions in the country who led us to this economic disaster are now bigger than they were before the financial collapse. So we have got to break these guys up so that we don't see a recurrence of what we saw over a year ago. The second reason is, and this we don't talk about too much, is that it's not only an issue of too big to fail resulting in massive bailouts on the part of the taxpayers, it is concentration of ownership, lack of competition, and what that means for the economy. Just listen to this. Today you have 4 financial institutions, largest in the country: JP Morgan Chase, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, and Citigroup. These 4 institutions combined issue 1 out of every 2 mortgages in America. You got that? 1 out of every 2 mortgages. 2 out of every 3 credit cards. Go check your credit card. See which bank is issuing it, and hold $4 out of every $10 in bank deposits in the entire country. Now, that type of concentration of ownership leads to a lack of competition. It leads to small businesses and medium-sized businesses not getting the credit that they need. It leads to credit card interest rates of 25 or 30%. Now, what I have done in order to combat this is just introduced legislation, which is pretty simple. It tells the Secretary of Treasury to tell us which institutions are too big to fail, first 3 months, and then the next 9 months it says break them up. And unlike the healthcare bill, which is 1,900 pages, this is all of 2 pages. You could check it out on my website. It is pretty simple, pretty straightforward. So, in order to prevent another massive bailout, in order to prevent trillions of dollars of zero-interest loans going from the Fed to these large financial institutions, We need to break them up. And in order to bring competition within the financial marketplace, we need to break these institutions up. Now, taking on Wall Street, to say the least, is not going to be easy. We're going to need everybody's support. We got a petition drive that we'd love you to sign on for. But let's work together. Let's start breaking up these babies because they have done just horrendous harm to our economy. Thank you.